client wishes to waive her presence at the testimony for the remainder of the day. It was emotional this morning, and she indicated to us she did not want to attend this afternoon.
All right, now to the trial of the so-called Doomsday mom, Lori Vallow, in court again today. A detective testifying about the graphic condition of her two children's bodies when they were uncovered in a shallow grave. 16-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old JJ Vallow were found dead on June 9th in 2020. A detective from Rexburg, Idaho, investigating the case was on the scene and took the stand for the entire day on Tuesday. His name is Detective Ray Hermisio. He said that the children's bodies were found in that shallow grave on Chad Daybell's property. That's Lori Vallow's current husband. He's facing charges in their murders as well. While police were digging, they say that the smell was so bad, officers could only work for a few minutes at a time to recover the bodies. It was a difficult day in court for all involved, particularly the jury having to hear this and the family of these two kids. Vallow is charged in their murders and also the murder of Chad Daybell's late wife, Tammy. Another new development in the case, the judge denied Vallow's request Tuesday to leave the courtroom. You heard her attorney there asking that she leave because it was a difficult day. And in just a few moments, Detective Hermisio will get back on the stand for cross-examination. And a reminder, no cameras in the courtroom. This trial expected to last 10 weeks. We are bringing you, though, the audio from the courtroom, which is what you just heard. With us this morning is Joshua Ritter, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor and host of the True Crime Daily Sidebar podcast. Joshua, thank you, as always. I want to start with really difficult testimony that the jury heard yesterday and images that we will not see or show, but the condition of the bodies, particularly JJ's body, once the autopsy was performed. I want to play some of that sound from in court, and then we will talk about it.
When they cut down that plastic bag, what did you observe?
I saw a little boy in red pajamas. He had a white plastic bag around his head, several layers of duct tape from his chin to his forehead area. His arms were duct taped with several layers of duct tape. His feet were also duct taped and bound. He had a white and blue child's blanket placed on top of him.
It is easy to get emotional when you hear that type of description, this little boy and the way that he was found. The jury, some of the jurors started breaking down in tears. Joshua, compelling but also strategic start for the prosecution to come right out of the gate and try to pull at the jury's emotions and the way this little boy lost his life.
Yeah, they really threw the jurors right into the thick of it from the very get-go. Just those words, I saw a little boy in red pajamas, it just grabs your heart to think about the horrific scene that we're talking about. And the jurors are not just hearing this, they're seeing this. They're seeing the photographs of the recovery of his body, and they're seeing the photographs of that autopsy. You know, I've presented, gruesome murder photos, crime scene photos in court many times. There is something on another level when it's involving children, and especially the way that this was described, still being in his pajamas, wrapped in a blanket, wrapped in duct tape, bound by his hands, covered in a plastic bag. It's just horrific stuff. So you're absolutely right. This, I think, was a strategic decision on the part of the prosecutors to immediately bring this kind of impactful testimony in front of the jurors so they understood the kind of gruesome case we're dealing with.
And the defense knew this was coming, right? They were aware of the evidence in the case. So how will they cross-examine this detective's testimony today?
So difficult. I mean, sometimes the best strategy for the defense is to realize the witnesses that are just not going to work for you, the witnesses that are just not going to get you anywhere in the furtherance of your case, and to ask a few questions, clarify some things, and get that person off the stand as quickly as possible. I don't see how they can turn any of this around in their favor. They're going to highlight the idea that, as gruesome as this is, what really connects any of this to their client. Is as bad as this is, there's a lack of forensic evidence, directly tying it to her. But again, the more that you have this officer on the stand, the more that you're going to have jurors just kind of replaying this horrible crime scene that they happened upon.
And I mentioned a moment ago, Joshua, Lori Vallow requesting to waive her right to be present in court yesterday. And as this testimony and this gruesome evidence is shared with the jury, her defense calling her fragile. The judge denying that request basically said, you're going to sit in this courtroom and you're going to hear it. First of all, is that an unusual request in a case like this? I mean, there are so many gruesome murder trials. The defendant typically has to sit there and listen.
Yeah, it is highly unusual. It's apparently some sort of anomaly as far as the rules go for court in Idaho, where that is a request that can be made and the judge is able to grant it based upon their discretion. But it's highly unusual for a defendant to ask to be not present. And the judge made absolutely the right call here. He's concerned with, one, the integrity of the case, and that includes her rights. She's got a due process right to be there. He certainly doesn't want to be sitting through this trial again because of some decision where she wasn't allowed to be in court during certain important pieces of testimony. The other thing is he doesn't want this to turn into theater. I mean, if she wasn't there, jurors are going to immediately notice that, and they're going to begin to speculate as to why she wasn't there. They're going to begin to come up with all sorts of theories as to why she was absent, none of which have to do with why they're sitting there, trying to decide the guilt or innocence of this person. So it was the right decision by the judge.
What do you think? Does Lori Vallow take the stand in her own defense? What's the conversation happening with her attorneys, the risk of doing something like that?
I don't think so at all. I don't see how it benefits her at all. Also, considering her kind of fragile mental state, she's been declared incompetent, unfit to be able to stand for this trial a couple of times now, gone in and out of fitness. So I can't imagine that they would want to risk that kind of a fragile mental state and putting her on the stand and trying to stand up against the crucible of cross-examination. I really think that would be a far outside chance. But bear in mind, it's her right. If she really pushes for it, there's not much they can do to stop her. She has that right to testify on her own behalf if she really wants to push the issue.
All right, that detective back on the stand this morning. Will be following the proceedings inside court. As always, Joshua Ritter, thank you.
Thank you.